I just want to check if the audiences can hear me clear. Okay, I guess we are good to start. Thanks, everybody, for joining the webinar today. Um, and we hope to, make sure that the time you spend on this webinar is going to be fruitful. Um, Let me introduce myself quickly. This is Manoj, and I take care of sales and marketing at CyRAACS. And before we jump into the topic today, uh, addressing cybersecurity threats through sustainable VAPT, and why we need it. I think with the current COVID scenario, we are forced to do the digital transformation sometimes, right? We decided to work from home overnight because of the business continuity, and the focus was for business continuity rather than the security aspect of it. So today our speaker is going to cover how we can have a sustainable VAPT. Earlier, some companies or organization adopted VAPT as a one-time activity in a year, or sometimes need per basis, because there is an obligation to do it for various reasons. However, today we're going to cover how we can have a sustainable VAPT, right? So I'm going to quickly spend 30 seconds to a minute to talk about CyRAACS. Um, so CyRAACS has been in existence for last 3 years. In the short span of 3 years, we have around 150 plus satisfied customers and 350 engagements. That means that shows our credibility with our existing clients, and we continue to work with them. And we have provided services across all the verticals and industry. We also have delivered our services across the globe, right? We have engagements in India, North America, and Middle East. Couple of important credentials which we are very proud of. We wear it on our sleeves. One is the PCI. We are a QSS for payment card industry, and we help customers to be PCI. Uh, the next one is the CERT-IN, Computer Emergency Response Team of India. We are an Empanel auditor with them. Um, Apart from this, quickly, I just want to talk about what we do as a service. We have a gamut of services. We're not going to talk about CyRAACS here. The focus is more about the topic today, but I thought it would be a great start to talk about what we do. Uh, Let it be our governance services, where we cover all the requirements of helping customers to build framework, do assessment, and implement the any framework which you see on the screen. And also we help customer do their audit. When it comes to technical services, from basic VAPT to advanced VAPT, let it be secure code review or data flow analysis, we provide it all. And we also provide all the services as a managed service, because there are customers who want to depend on us as an extended arm um, of their organization. And when it comes to digital transformation, I think we're talking cloud, right? And it is very, very important when it comes to how you design and implement your configuration and settings on the cloud. And we provide our services in that space as well. And there are other niche services what we do when it comes to digital forensics, malware analysis, and work from home, posture analysis, and things like that. So that is about CyRAACS. And I wanted to, quickly introduce our speaker, Mr. Suresh Iyer, who is the CEO of CyRAACS and also the co-founder. Without further ado, I want to have Suresh Iyer to take over from here and give his perspective about sustainable VAPT. Thanks, Suresh.
To you all. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining. It's been a pleasure talking to you all. Uh, so, what are we going to talk today? Uh, Almost everyone knows that cybersecurity is one of the most important aspects that's almost hit the board. Uh, uh, it's become one of the top three board discussions for the last couple of years. Now, with the pandemic coming in, the adoption of the digital space is getting more rapid. The more you go digital space, the more you need to take care of what is required from the security perspective. Just one moment. So I was hearing a feedback, so I was just trying to adjust the audio. Sorry for that. So what are we going to talk here? We're going to specifically talk about how in this journey, what are your quick wins? There are so many things that you could do in terms of improving your security posture. What is important is what are your quick wins and how are you going to address them and how do you sustain them? More important than a one-time fix is to ensure that you are able to sustain it for long term. And that's what we're going to talk more today and see how that. So we've been practitioners, me and my co-founder, when we started CyRAACS 3 years back, we've been global CISOs, and what we bring to consulting space is the experience that we have experienced as real-time issues and what is relevant to the companies for quicker adoption and ensuring that you are able to handle the security threats comfortably. So, what is a data breach? A data breach is nothing but an intentional or an unintentional release of your secure information from your trusted to your non-trusted environment. Now, it could be stealing, it could be hacking, it could be anything else. But the largest scope definition is this. So, how is it? How does it occur? It occurs through ransomware. You've heard of ransomware. I think most of us know bitcoins and ransomware are now the big buzzwords. The standard malwares that reside in your system innocuously by you accessing some websites, some cookies come on, some malware comes on, stays on, and starts creating havoc. Improper configuration. This is one of the biggest source of problems that have occurred, particularly in the cloud space. About 86% of cloud related breaches were because of improper configuration as of last year. Now, this is a very important area, particularly in the digital transformation journey, people moving more to AWS, Google, Azure. You need to ensure that you have the absolutely watertight secure configurations in place. Social engineering, you've heard about phishing, you've heard about so many other aspects of what social engineering, unauthorized access, the internal employee, intentional or unintentional errors. All this constitute a big source. This is not the entire laundry list, but just to give you what are the type of laundry list that's there for you to know how does it occur. Who commits the data breach? 42% are committed by hackers or criminals or rogue state actors. Now, we don't need to get into that. That's not the point of discussion here. 29% are caused by system glitches or misconfiguration. Coming back to the earlier point in the earlier slide where I talked about system configuration, this is one of a very, very important area where problems happen. Now, that's nearly 30%. Another 30% caused by internal staff. Now, look at it here. You may not have a control over the 40% of the criminals and rogue state actors. You don't know what they would do, what's their motivation, but you certainly have absolutely ability to control the 29% here for the system glitches and misconfiguration, and the 29% for your staff. So what you need to do, there are so many things that we can talk about system misconfiguration. How do you ensure that the right kind of guidelines, minimum standing, hardening guidelines, how they are checked before production, how there are changes that are closely monitored, and on the staffing side, privilege escalations, how privilege identity management is done, how identity and access management can be done. We can talk a plethora of things on this, but bottom line, the 29% and the 29%, close to 60% of the data breaches that happen are controllable, or you have some ability to address that, right? Phishing attacks targeted nearly 76% of the business. Now, this is 76% of all businesses. Somebody sometime have received some level of uh, phishing data, whether it is a Nigeria guy telling you that we have $100 million to be sent to your bank account, or it could be the CFO asking the CEO, CEO asking the CFO, please transfer money to this person. These are standard things that happen across. Now these are getting very targeted phishing attacks. Financial sector accounts for 14%, half of them in the bank. Credit card increased by over 200%, credential leaks by over 130%. And data breaches on the IoT is increasing. We're talking about smartphones, the CCTV cameras, everything that we're talking about. Now, this is an area that's fast approaching as a very big threat. You know, Everything is smart is great, but the smart needs to be secure as well. Because if the smart is not secure, it is not smart. The average cost of data breach is going up year on year. It's going up every year. The most conservative number is there is a 7% increase and a 5% increase on the cost of each stolen record. Now, this is the most conservative number. Probably we wanted to bring you the lowest possible aggregator who provided this information. But if you take it across targeted companies, it is upwards of 50% in many places. Now, these are, and 6.5 million records are getting compromised every day. 75 records are compromised every second. This is alarming. I want to bring about saying that data breaches today happen like crazy. Now, here's one slide that if you're able to see, it has healthcare, government, education, financial, retail, technology, banking, insurance, media, name anything, all industries are there. All industries are affected. Dwell a little closer into that data. Healthcare, education, government, people handling personal information is heavily affected. And look at some interesting statistics. Banking, technology, insurance, they actually handle a lot of personal data, but they are less affected, which means that these people have started deploying better controls. And therefore, the data breaches across these places have significantly reduced. And last but not the least, the regulator is the great leveler. The regulators come and tell the minimum set of guidelines, whether it is FFIEC in the US or RBI in India or GDPR. Now, these regulators provide a whole lot of force to ensure that the adoption of security technologies and the practices are improving the security posture of the people who, because there's a threat of they losing the licenses or heavy penalties associated with it, and therefore these regulations help definitely achieve better. Banking and insurance clearly have had a high level of adherence because of the compliance to these regulations. Top prevention solution: provide good training for security awareness. Invest in the right technology, because there are so many technologies today available for security. Now you need to ensure that you have the right technology for your right environment. And last, very important point of discussion today: perform regular vulnerability assessments, prepare a data breach response plan, comply with the data protection regulation. All these are very important, and these are not the only solutions. These are just the top solutions. And in CyRAACS, we have built what's called the 5D model: discover, define, design, deliver, drive. Now, this on the life cycle of the security solutions, and the deployment and monitoring and sustaining it, we have built this model. So talk to Manoj, and if you want more details of how we deliver our solutions through our 5D model, and we talk about that. That's not the point of discussion today, but we'll be happy to engage with you on that. So in VAPT, so a lot of people talk about OWASP top 10, SANS top 20. There's NIST, which the US body for National Institute of Standards and Technology, which has provided the best practices on how VAPT should be done. CVE has come up with ratings trying to say how do you classify, put that across. CIS has provided quite a lot of benchmarks for many configurations across various platforms. India CERT has provided plenty of advisories, and banking customers who have logged in would be aware that CERT almost sends a lot of advisories on what needs to be done to cover up that. All these are important. I'm not trying to diminish one over the other. I'm just giving you that these are things that are there. But a simple, if I have to stick my neck out and say, people who follow robust VAPT practice have 95% of the risk covered. How are you able to quantify 95%? And you follow the journey, and I'll tell you that you will realize why I'm saying it. Because it's a simple thing, and sometimes solutions are not complex. Sometimes great solutions are so simple that it's sometimes even overwhelming for us. So in a vulnerability management, we talk about everything. Most important aspect is to understand all layers of the security controls that are present in this app, and therefore you're able to address. See, I have a firewall, I have a application firewall, and I also have the load balancers. I have this environment, and therefore, should I actually allow the code to be released without the VAPT? Questions can come up like that. Now you can understand that those are the kind of details that are important for you to recognize and make appropriate risk decisions. So understanding security controls very important. It helps you drive compliance at the minimum, improve your posture in the long run for sure. Now, what are the best practices? A lot of people have asked. In fact, this is a standard question that I'm faced with. Should you do a black box or a gray box? And a lot of people who are non-technical teams who are here, black box is the unauthenticated. You just get, I just give you a URL called www.google.com, and then go and find out in the website what is the vulnerabilities that exist there, or www.abc.com, and then find out what are the issues there in that. Then there is something called gray box, which you take the admin passwords, the credentials according to the hierarchy of roles that are being established, and then using that, you provide what's called the detailed analysis of vulnerabilities that are to be identified and rectified. Now, what is important? Both are important. Now, both addresses a different context altogether. People would talk about the more advanced things like what is a red team, what is a blue team, what's a purple team. Point of discussion is 20 minutes never possible. Never possible to address all of the needs of this discussion here. But here the question, I hear Pradeep Kumar asking. Pradeep, we will definitely answer this question more at a later point in time when we come to the question, but I answered a part of that question now. Yeah, both are important. Identify the critical assets. Yes. Companies could be running ERP applications, CRM applications. Company could be running their core banking application, payment applications. Now, for a bank, the core banking system and the associated applications relating to that, they're critical assets without which the entire business operations could fail. Now, these are very, very important to understand this, and scheduling scans for them to be done at regular intervals, and has to be based on your risk appetite. But your risk is very, very your risk appetite is very important for it, because I am not here to suggest that you need to take care of 100% of your assets, but you need to take a call at an appropriate time. What works for you, but identify the critical ones, address them, scan periodically and more often. People about 15 years back would say scanning once a year was a great thing. It was a head thing. Oh, I even got VAPT done on my infrastructure once a year, and that was considered good practice. Then subsequently, many regulations came, many practices came. People started adopting best practices. They said uh, quarterly we'll do internal and we'll do one external annually. About 10 years back, but I think something got stuck. That stayed with many companies as a gold standard. And things are really, really different in today's threat landscape. Things have moved from no longer the half-yearly, quarterly, annual. It's now daily, weekly, monthly. It's at that scale. And believe me, I'm not exaggerating here. I am telling you the reality of the situation. Continuous monitoring is more important. Prioritization of the remediation, very, very critical. You may have 76,000 vulnerabilities in a 1,000 form server, and where do you go from there? How do you start addressing them? You know, the uh, the addressing of the remediation is important to understand from the risk. What's your priority? I think if I may recall, about June of 2017, there was something called WannaCry. WannaCry literally put a stumbling block on 80% of the enterprises. Many companies were affected. You know why? It was a medium vulnerability. People thought it was comfortable. Even companies that didn't have a practice of fixing properly were anyway affected. But companies that had a good practice of fixing them periodically also had a problem in getting them addressed on time. Why? It was because WannaCry was a medium vulnerability, and it created havoc. Now, you need to understand whatever could be there on the perimeter, which has the east-west availability, north-south availability. Okay, east-west is internal to the network, north-south is external and internal to the network. Now, you need to understand what type of network that particular device is capable of proliferating, and accordingly take decisions and address them. Run ad hoc scans. uh, Make sure that you address that whenever there's a config change, whenever they are getting deployed, whenever there's an incident, whenever there's a suspect behavior. Ensure that there is a sign off process of getting this done and address it, and that's very important. Very important, you need to identify your infrastructure differently, applications differently. In infrastructure, scan and fix continuously. Secure configurations when deployed in the cloud. Having a sign off on the current patches, absolutely must. On the applications, do it at the time when you start creating it. Secure coding standard during DevOps. Security testings before going live. Security sign off on all risks, that the management is aware that I know that this code has this error, I am taking this risk, because they shouldn't come back and say, hey, what happened? No. Make sure that you are aware of the problem, understand, and then test it, fix it, test again before every release. And this has to be an absolutely, ruthless commitment to this. This gets addressed very, very well. And then check periodically for risks and exploits, because with so much of open source libraries that are getting adopted into the code today, it's important that even custom built applications continue to go through the periodic check, because the exploits of your OSLs can affect your application considerably. Now, how do you test it and sustain it? By continuously testing it and keeping it part of your DNA. Do a test as frequent as possible according to your risk appetite. Bring in the experts required, because what kind of solutions require what kind of testing, how it is done, you need experts to bring in for that, and that's always going to help you. Now, I may want to bring in a very important context here. Continuous monitoring is becoming very, very important. CyRAACS has built a compliance solution on this called CyRAACS Compliance Management, CCM. Now, CyRAACS Compliance Manager is an agentless solution that addresses the vulnerabilities that happen across typical most deployed platforms, and continuously looking for changes in the configurations that introduce vulnerabilities, and immediately alert for the vulnerabilities. Not only that, we also do the fixing of it automatically. So, in other words, a self healing solution that automatically drives the compliance continuously in the environment. And we have that. Please reach out to Manoj in case you want to know more about CCM and how we address that. That's something that we can talk about, not the point of discussion. Very important solution that I want to finally land in and say, vulnerability management solutions are the absolute hygiene for your network, for your environment. So take, in accordance to your appetite, take a posture that uh, that needs to be done frequently, and ensure that you for sure know that I have at least fixed what my knowns are. We can't fix the unknowns, but not fixing the known is certainly calling for a problem. I request, that's the only thing that I want to leave that message and saying, this is a very simple process that addresses a very, very important aspect of your security. And I want to, with that, leave it for questions. I'll be happy to take questions and answer them.
Audience also benefit out of what we discussed today. We do have a couple of questions from the audience, Suresh. I think I'll help you read them out from the chat. This is a question from Ashish Malhotra. The question he is placed, and I quote, I see the latest certain auditor list, which is reduced drastically in number, from 100 to 30 or so. Why is that, and how important is certain, is what Ashish would like to know.
So, slightly off the track, but I'll take that and answer this. They are, and probably very relevant for the banks, government institutions, why certain auditors are required. The CyRAACS is a certain empaneled organization today. We are part of the 30. The government had put in a whole lot of uh, 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 stringent practices in ensuring that the right companies are recertified. The 100 odd companies that were certified earlier have now shrunk to 30. The test was exhaustive, and that ensured that the right kind of practices are in place. Yeah, thanks, Ashish. You're from the bank. Yeah. So banks, RBI has said it's mandatory to have certain empaneled auditors providing the solution for that, and also uh, this practice of a certain empaneled auditor is, you can take it to the RBI, you can take it to the regulator, you can take it to government organizations mandate that you need to have a certain certain empaneled auditors report to confirm that you have indeed followed this practice. So from the government side, they've brought in a lot many more changes, and I think it's a welcome step to improve the quality of posture of security in the country.
Yeah, thanks, Suresh. I think we have another question from Kanika. Um, Her question is: there are various tools like Qualys, Tenable, Web Inspect available in the market. If having any of this, does this solve their VAPT requirement?
Yeah, so yes and a no. The yes, because they are credible tools available in the market. Now, there are two things that are required. One, you need to know how to use them just for plain usage. And then you need to have a very high knowledge of how you can take away the false positives and just address what are the absolute positives. Now, when a tool scans a network, it throws this could be a problem. It doesn't say it is a problem. Now, the decision that this could be a problem to this is a problem is what you need testers for. Now, you need qualified testers who have experience in doing that. And if you have that, you have the ability to address a whole lot of problems with respect to ensuring that you're not wasting your time on these. Uh, so the other options are, there are people who take there is a, I'm sorry, privacy problems all across, so I was speaking and my phone said, I didn't understand that. So we are living in this world, right? So
Yeah.
so the question is, yeah, these are important tools. So if you have the right kind of people to use them, all is tenable, web inspect, very credible solutions in the market. And in fact, we use them too in our teams. Beyond that, we have custom scripts that we have built, which can fasten the time that are required.
Yeah. Thanks, Suresh. I think we have another question. This is about CCM, which we discussed earlier. The question is from Sri, and the question is, if we use CCM, would it take care of cloud infra and physical infra with application standards? And also, there's a follow-up question on that. Will CCM complete the 247 monitoring?
Shri, thank you for this question. For CCM, cloud infra and the physical infra with application standards, yes, absolutely. We have done the baselining for NIST, ISO, and PCI so far. We will add more standards into that solution in the days to come, but we have that in place. In addition to that, whether there is a need, whether there is a team available 24/7, no, we don't have it yet. This is not a managed solution that we are offering, but what we are doing is we are giving the alerts to your SIEM directly, So if you have a SOC and we have the API interface to the SIM solution that can do, but also very importantly, CCM is a self-healing solution. So if you give permission to CCM, CCM will automatically reverse the problem that exists. And that's the advantage that we are trying to do.
Okay, thanks, Sri. So Suresh, I think we have another question from Bharani. I'm just trying to comprehend the question here. Compared to other companies, how do you rank when it comes to cybersecurity preparedness? So I'm just trying to see if he wants to know about how CyRAACS is prepared to service our client, is what I comprehend out of the question.
Yeah, so I don't want to talk other companies. That's we know and we don't know, so we leave it there. But when it comes to cybersecurity preparedness, we help our clients to address and be prepared for a cyber eventuality. So we tell them that these are things that are prevention solutions. We tell them that these are your detection solutions, and these are your, if you still can't be, and these are your response solutions. So we address it in all the three buckets. What needs to be detected, what needs to be prevented, what needs to be detected, and what needs to be responded with. All three are important because you can't have everything in the prepared bucket, you can't everything in the respond bucket. You need to have a right mix in accordance to the risk appetite, and we help customers address that as part of the vCISO solution that we have with our clients, where we engage on a total basis and provide CISO services to them. We have taken the complete mandate of the cybersecurity and address that for our clients, and we have been doing that. Probably you should talk to some of our clients to know how we are. We shouldn't talk more about it, but we consider ourselves on the better side of companies addressing those solutions.
Yeah, thanks, Suresh. I think we have another question. This is from Nitikesh. The question is, how do you handle cyber risks coming from vendors and other third parties?
Very important question. So, thank you, Nitikesh, for this. The aspect of third-party risk, is getting very high, and almost all companies, what they should do is nobody's an expert, so you need to bring in experts to do the entire set of work. So somebody is doing claims processing, somebody is doing default management, somebody is doing loan servicing. I'm talking about a financial institution. They depend on experts for each company, and they give their central application access to set of experts to do that kind of work. Now, the obligation that this company has in terms of regulations, in terms of penalties, fines for a breach committed is now extended. If one of the third party commits, you know, uh, or has a weakness because of which it was exploited, a breach happened. So who is responsible today? The main company or the third party? So third party contracts have to be written in such a way that these that these risks are downward passed on and ensured that they are monitored for. And so, long story short, you need to ensure that your vendors are performing in accordance to your minimum guidelines that you set if you have vendors on the list. If you are servicing customers, you have to ensure that you follow at the minimum what the minimum guidelines that has been set in the contract, or the set standard guidelines that have been provided by, follow ISO, follow PCI, whatever. Those things have to be adhered to. But a very important aspect is the third party risk that needs to get addressed.
Okay, I think we have almost answered all the questions at this time. If there are no further question, I think we couldn't have timed it better, Suresh. I think we are right on the money. Uh, And I would like to thank everyone who participated in the webinar on behalf of CyRAACS. To be honest, it was very insightful for me as well, because we don't get to talk about the common practices and things like that. So thanks once again, Suresh, and we look forward to have another webinar and discuss more important topics. I should say it was very insightful again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, team, and it's a pleasure talking to all of you. Reach out to me directly, suresh.iyer@cyrax.com, or you can write to ms@cyrax.com, or reach us at cyrax.com. So when you reach out, we will come back, and if you have any further questions relating to this topic or anything else in information security, we'll be happy to talk to you, giving us this opportunity. Thank you very much for joining this time. Your time, I hope, was useful for you. Thank you.
Thanks.